Good evening once again, and welcome to the Monday Review Show. This is where Keith joins me, and we talk about all things refereeing and decisions that were made and some that perhaps weren't made. We'll be discussing them. We go out this time, 8 o'clock UK Irish time, every Monday night, and we go live on facebook.com/Hanging Judge Ref. If you'd like to tune in, that's the way to get in. Facebook.com/Hanging Judge Ref. And also, if you want to look back at some of the previous programs, same situation, you can join us on that. We go on Facebook and we go on YouTube. If you'd like to send in some questions, if there's something you're not sure about, and there was lots and lots happened last week, you're more than welcome to do so. There's a little thing on the bottom right-hand side of your screen that you can click on, send in your question or comments, and Keith and I will be only too happy to reply to them. Keith, quite a lot last week. What would you like to start with? You particularly mentioned the Arsenal simulation, which unfortunately I don't have the video of, but I do have video of similar simulations where people are diving, looking for free kicks, looking for penalties, looking for their fellow professionals to get sent off.
Yeah.
Would you like to start with?
Well, this one was an attacker. A Brighton player was running alongside the Arsenal player, Ben White. Ben White looked as though it had been a fairly long run, looked as though he was losing a bit of momentum, and suddenly went down, clutching his face, as though he'd been punched or he'd received an elbow. It was a clear act of trying to get an opponent sanctioned. And I say that either by way of a red card or a yellow. What is worrying about this is that this is not for the first time happening in our game, and making referees if you like, aware of the incidents, but if there's any doubts, they're not going to overreact. And of course, it invariably, unless the referee acts, so if in this case, he thought the opponent of Ben White had actually punched Ben White, he might have issued a red, and then we'd have got the VAR intervention. But VAR, and this is what I think it's wrong, VAR is not allowed to come in on acts of simulation unless a red card has been issued.
Yeah, it's one of the four criteria that applies, but simulation is one of them. Yeah.
So here is a very clear act of simulation with the intention of getting his opponent into trouble, missed by the referee, and I don't think he's got much chance to see it. I'm sure VAR did see it, but has no power to intervene. And for me, and in fairness to the commentary, the pundit on the panel was not happy with what had taken place. He said it's unprofessional, was his words. For me, I think there's something missing in the game in these situations. And that is, I know FIFA don't want games but I think here there should be the opposite of the referee issuing a report where then the incident is reviewed, and if they consider an act of simulation has taken place, then an appropriate sanction is issued to that player. There's got to be a deterrent, and at the moment, VAR escapes unless the sanction has been issued like a red, can't intervene on a yellow. And I just think that these actions that we see all too often now are, I just think they're unfair and not within what we want from a game of football.
Yeah, well, I picked out a couple of clips that we had from previous shows, and let me show you this one. This is the worst, one of the worst acts of simulation. Look at the player in blue. You think he got an uppercut or a left hook or something. I mean, it's just now.
I and the authorities, in fairness, unless we actually FIFA and IFAB say, look, we're going to outlaw this and we want retrospective action for acts of simulation, players will continue to do it, and that makes life very difficult for the match referee.
And here's another one. You'll see it better now from another. Oh no, I thought it came in on a different angle there. No, I mean, it's appalling, really. I did pick out another one, which I'll come to just now. But there has to be some kind of, surely there has to be some kind of, I think it's this one here. Yeah. You can see it better now from a different angle there.
Yeah.
I mean, he's diving, this Ronaldo, he's diving before he's even touched.
Well, I mean, this is what we've got here. His players are now very clever and very good at disguising their acts of simulation. And what they will do is they will look to make contact. They'll manufacture contact, which then makes life very difficult for VAR and the referee.
Yeah.
But I think what's important here is that, whilst we talk about the amount of time it takes on VAR reviews and all that goes with it, when we're seeing, like in that case, a penalty kick likely to have been awarded and won by Ronaldo, that's when I think we need to take more care and have a greater awareness as VAR or match referee about these acts of simulation. They're there, they're in the game, they're not easy to detect. It's easy for an armchair referee like the two of us to be able to detect because we have the experience and we also can play it back 2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
Sadly, in the game, players will cheat.
And isn't it more prevalent nowadays? And it's obviously to do with the amount of money involved, I would think, Keith. Perhaps you'll agree or disagree. Because of the amount of money that's involved and that absolute paramount need to win and sometimes at all costs. And if cheating and diving and lying and whatever is necessary, then so be it, seems to be the order of the day.
Yeah, I think this is one. It leads on to another point that I think is important, is that, look, we do see referees making mistakes at the elite level and VAR mistakes, and we comment about them almost every week. That sometimes is interpretation of law, a law error, or it might be the subjectivity in that particular law that says, well, I'm going to fall that side of the line rather than the other side of the line. What this leads to is this accusation of, if you like, the integrity of the referee being questioned. And I want to give people an assurance that the integrity of referees, certainly in the Premier League and the Football League, the professional game in England, is without question. And the reason I can say that is because of the amount of training that's given to them and the amount of checks and balances that exist in the game. You've got an independent match delegate representing the Premier League at a game. You've got the media. You've got 22 cameras. When referees make errors, they make errors. I mean, I've been critical on occasions of Anthony Taylor, but I think this week, in what was going to be a tough game and a very important game, Manchester United, Liverpool, I don't think it was the most difficult derby, and I call it a derby, in that sense, that we've seen in those games. And I've had Manchester United, Liverpool on numerous occasions. In fact, I decided to retire, having been appointed to that particular game many years ago. But I thought Taylor handled the game quite well. The last couple of Sundays, he suddenly decided that He's not going to flash cards like confetti. He's just, if you like, change the threshold slightly and become slightly more proactive in his step management. The quiet word you see him having on the run. And as a result of that, I thought what I was beginning to see yesterday was a mark of respect for him by the players of both teams, which I thought was a really nice avenue to be able to say, look, there are occasions in this show when we do praise a referee, even though he made a big decision. He made a penalty kick decision that I supported. A lot of referees on my social media platforms thought it was an act of simulation. But again, I put it into this category of a careless challenge by the defender. And I just want to read the criteria of that, because the criteria says careless is when a player shows a lack of attention or consideration when making a challenge or acts without precaution. And what we've got here sometimes is the defender goes to ground and stretches. And in fact, he puts his entire body across his opponent. And this again can be interpreted as an act that's foul and careless. And the other side of it is that we have a lot of people thinking that because a touch on the ball has been made, that negates the foul. It doesn't.
Yeah, because you hear commentators all the time saying, "Oh, he got the ball."
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Say you can kick the legs off the player with his trailing leg just because he got the ball with his right foot or whichever is in front.
Correct. Or the challenge where the ball is used as a decoy.
Yeah.
And that's when you and I know that's when the heel of the player goes onto the top of the ball and he rolls into the opponent's leg.
Yeah.
Termed loosely, an over-the-top challenge. These are the areas where young referees, I think, have difficulty. Challenges is probably a better word than perhaps in our career we experienced. Yes, we experienced tough games, tough challenges, red cards and yellow cards, all those scenarios. And even I can remember when I refereed without red and yellow cards.
Oh, so yeah, absolutely. You took numbers and names.
Yeah,
yeah.
Exactly.
And it was pouring rain and you're trying to write on a piece of paper.
Oh,
pencil.
One of the things that we learned in that situation was then that process was, I'm cautioning you, yellow card, what is your name? I'm sending you off. What is your name? And you can imagine some of the responses that you got. Mickey Mouse, Donald Duck.
Yeah.
I'm off.
I used to do that. If a guy told me his name was Donald Duck, I'd say, thank you. I'll write it down. And then I'd report it and say, I got the name Donald Duck in the 64th minute, whatever. But Donald Duck doesn't appear on the team sheet. And then started out. I just want to welcome, who's never been with us before, and I'm going to put his name, Samula OKZ. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, Sam. Let me please, if you don't mind, just call you Sam. It's easier for an English-speaking person. You're very, very welcome. Watching from Pakistan, you're very welcome. I think it's your first time. Brian Wexler put in here, I feel the professionalism has gone out of the game from players as the cheating that goes on for the purpose of an advantage or to get an opponent booked or sent off.
Absolutely.
The professionalism, absolutely. Well, Brian, you could call it professionalism or lack of professionalism, but that's apparently what they're doing now. And Keith and I are in agreement on this, to get a player sent off. And this is where I think the nonsense and hypocrisy at the start of the game of these players shaking hands with the referee, and no sooner has the game started, but they're kicking lumps out of each other and they're screaming in the referee's face. So the shake hand, if I was in charge, Keith, as you were, and I was at the PSL in South Africa, I used to tell my referees, don't shake hands with the players at the start of the game. Yeah. Just go out there. You're in arbitrator, you're in the middle, you're making a decision, you're going to offend somebody somewhere along the line. So it's better that you stay away from the players' hall. So you can act like a judge and you can make your decision objectively without showing favor to one side or the other.
You know, Brian makes a real point. I think any of us that are watching the games, and with the wonderful coverage of television, I mean, there's no question in our, you know, when I refereed, we had 3 cameras. Now there's a minimum of 22, and the definition, you know, high definition of some of the television sets that we watch the games on. There's no escape. You know, what I think is important is that the worry I have, and I know that this was the case of Richard Scudamore, the CEO of the Premier League when I was boss, and he was a challenging guy. You know, he himself had been a former referee. A lot of people didn't know that. But he protected the image of the game. He protected the image of the Premier League competition. As a result of that, there was a huge amount of work that he promoted with clubs, with the PFA, with the LMA, the governing bodies. And I was talking today with a former head of the Coaches Association here in England. And I'd made reference a few weeks ago in my comments in the Daily Telegraph that there now needed to be a second coach. By that I mean a bus, taking the coaching team and the technical team to the game. I was getting, as I mentioned on this show, the numbers of people now occupying the technical area has become like anyone else and his mother and auntie could go on that bus and sit in the technical area. And I think this whole scenario is a sort of indication of almost an intrusion into the game that we have from a technical point of view. And I think that, you know, often we need the managing and the coaches to sit down, as they do in the Premier League once a season. I used to stand in front of them and to try to get some form of agreement, because in many of these instances, the manager or coach of the team could stop it.
Yeah, absolutely.
It could make life much more difficult. You know, I go back to refereeing Nottingham Forest when Brian Clough was the manager. And you know how mouthy he was, but by heck, his teams were the easiest teams to referee.
Yeah.
He just said to his players, you did your job and let the referee do his.
Yeah.
And,
great.
I can remember going down the tunnel and him shouting to me and shouting, Keith. And he comes up, he said, listen, if any of my players have a go at you in this game, I want to know. And if that's half time, tell me.
Great.
And he took a very strong view, and it might be a bit old fashioned, but I think that what we need to do is understand that every time a player cheats and the public see it, the risk is a child sees it, and the grassroots referee pays the penalty on a Sunday morning.
This was another instance here, Keith, about simulation. I mean, this player, if ever there was any evidence to show that cheating had gone on, I mean, you know, I think that's as Azpilicueta when he was playing for Chelsea. I mean, did I get a free kick? Did I get a penalty? It's just appalling. Keith, there's been a lot of debate this week. There was an African Champions League game in South Africa between Mamelodi Sundowns and a team. I can't remember the name of the other team. But what happened was the ball it went in, it hit the crossbar, came down, and the keeper grabbed it. And I don't have it, but I just thought I will explain to people and I have done here, and I'll show them, because I was explaining to people about the ball in and out of play,
Yeah.
and the where is it now here? That the whole of the ball, I was trying to explain that the whole of the ball must cross the line before it is out of play.
Yeah.
Where is it? I'll just get it here now in a second.
The scenario, of course, yeah.
No, not that one. Not that one. Sorry.
The scenario in England, of course, is that on the Premier League, we have goal line technology.
Yeah.
Which,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that ball, okay, it's running along the line there. I'll play it again. But initially, it seems to be out of play, but it's not. Yeah. And I had an interview on SABC, South African radio, this evening, and I was trying to explain it to them. What happened was the ball, like I said, hit the crossbar, came down. Now, the line belongs to the area. The lines belong to the areas of which they are boundaries. That's what the law says.
Yes.
That line is 12 centimeters, or in old money, 5 inches. So you got that 5 inches, plus you got the width of the ball, and even the outer casing. I was just trying to explain, like you'll see here again, even the paint, if you like, on the outer casing of the ball has to be fully over the line before it is there. And that ball is not out of play.
No, it's not.
It's not there. It's running along the line there. But the part where he pulls it back there, it's still not out of play.
No. And I think, when you, and I've watched a lot of, in the development of goal line technology, which I was heavily involved with Hawkeye some years ago, we took photographs of balls from various positions, and it was amazing how the angle could give you the view as though the ball's out of play, and then another angle shows that it's not. There was an incident a couple of weeks ago in a Premier League game where the ball did a similar thing. It bounced off the crossbar and down onto the line, and there was just a fraction of the ball still, if you took that vertical line down from the outer perimeter of the ball, still in contact with the line. But it looked as though it was over. And we're fortunate in the English Premier League and in some of the senior competitions, the referee has the watch. It tells him.
Yeah. Now there,
that's
for example, the ball. Let's take the bottom two, and even the top of the second one on the right there. Those balls are you can just see the green. That's the field of play, and the ball, the blue part is off the field.
Yeah,
that ball is still in play.
Correct.
Even to the naked eye, it appears out of play. That ball is still in play, and I want to make it absolutely clear. And this appears to what has happened in this game in Pretoria during the week or the weekend, where the ball came down like that. It's very hard to see from the video footage that I saw. It's very grainy, but the referee went to VAR and took some time to decide. Didn't go to the monitor, and I think this is what upset some people. Why didn't he go to the monitor and check for himself? But he accepted the VAR decision and disallowed the goal. Now, the away team, it would have been their goal. They apparently are now going to write to CAF, the Confederation of African Football, complaining that they were disallowed a goal. But that is, I'm suggesting, I don't know, I wasn't there. I'm suggesting this is what happened, that the two illustrations on the right, that the second on the right and the fourth one, if you like, on the bottom, and even the third on the bottom, that the whole of that ball is not over the line. And therefore, if the referee, if that's what he decided, then he was correct. But apparently they're lodging a protest, which I don't think they get anywhere with, and they shouldn't, because it's a referee's decision.
Yeah, I mean, on big decisions, and that's a big decision. If VAR intervenes, then I would always recommend, even though you've got a top class referee in the role of VAR, I would still like the referee to go to that monitor.
Yeah.
And the reason is that it confirms the decision, and he makes the decision. He's the arbiter, and it's such a big decision. I would want him to do that. That's not arguing about whether it's a right or wrong call, because clearly the ball's not wholly passed over the goal line. It's just a matter of shutting off any form of complaint. And this
I don't know why he didn't go, but I saw the video footage of him standing there inside the penalty area.
Yeah.
And I've no idea why he didn't go, and he should have gone.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
he didn't.
Yeah.
But then again, he has the final say, and it's his decision.
Yeah. But he's obviously competent and happy with his VAR. You know, we do take offside decisions from the VAR without reviewing them.
Yes.
I think, but this for me, I think it should always be the referee going to the monitor and taking ownership of the decision not to award a goal, or to award a goal, or to award a penalty kick, or not a penalty kick in that situation.
Okay, Keith, the final one, the Wolves goal that was disallowed.
Yeah. Well, this is where there's no question that we're going to have split views. What we had was a player, a forward, in an offside position. So that's the first thing. No question. Is in.
Well, let's clear that up now. First of all, it's not an offence to be in an offside position.
Correct.
Right. Okay.
And he's standing in front of the goalkeeper with about a meter between them.
So he's okay for the moment.
For the moment, he's not impeding the goalkeeper, and throughout the action doesn't impede the goalkeeper. Now, preventing an opponent from playing or being able to play the ball by clearly obstructing the opponent's line of vision is what the referee now has to consider. When that ball was kicked or headed towards goal, was the goalkeeper's line or sight of vision impaired? My view is that, and I've discussed this with IFAB some years ago, and I'm going probably back 10 years now. They said to me they wanted you to think of a flight path of the ball. And I said, is that a meter wide or is it 2 meters wide? So if you imagine the trajectory of the ball, is that ball heading for the goalkeeper and the attacker? Answer in this occasion, no. Does the goalkeeper have the ability to move? Absolutely. Has he got any chance of saving this ball? None. I'm awarding the goal. I'm awarding the goal on the basis that this is just like a shot on goal from distance where a player is in an offside position and the goal stands. So what makes it worse and shows the inconsistency is that we have had in the Premier League this season players obstructing is the wrong word, but it's let me use the word blocking. We've had players, attacking players, blocking the goalkeeper, preventing, and in fact, in one instance, I can remember Burnley had a goal scored against them when their goalkeeper was being almost wrestled to the ground by a player who was clearly in an offside position as well, and the goal was allowed to stand. This is about the debate that you have with your group of match officials in that competition you play devil's advocate, you also show the film clips, and you say, in this instance, are we going to allow it? And in my opinion, was that I thought to rule this goal out was the wrong decision. Because I took the view the player was in an offside position. In my view, he didn't impair the sight line, the vision of the goalkeeper. The goalkeeper had the ability to move. You know, that this is no different as a corner kick coming in to the area and the goalkeeper moving to grab the ball. So you have all these scenarios happening. And this is where, as a referee, you've got to make the judgment, how you see in law. And you will get referees who disagree with you. So as in this case, they rule the goal out.
So just for clarification, the issue could have been the offside. Now, if that player was not offside, was still blocking the keeper's view, then it doesn't apply.
I don't think. Well, if that player...
The fact that he was offside and blocking the keeper.
Well, in this situation, I would want physical contact between the player in an offside position and the goalkeeper, because at that point, I'm determining that player then, that attacking player, is active. I don't think in this situation, because I don't believe that he impaired the vision of the goalkeeper.
Yeah.
Right? That he's active, even though he's in an offside position. So I've tried to explain that my reasoning, why I think that to disallow the goal was the incorrect decision.
Yeah. And on that passing note, as I say, Keith, many thanks to Brian. Brian agrees with you, by the way. He says a keeper would never have got to it, even if the player wasn't there. So, yeah, that's okay. Thanks, Brian, as always, for your comments. And many thanks to Sami. I hope I'm pronouncing you. Samiullah, am I right there, Keith?
Yes.
Watching from Pakistan. I think it's your first time, Sami.
Right.
You're very welcome.
Join us on a Monday.
Hope we have you on every Monday. Keith, same
Pleasure.
again next Monday. Thank
Fine.
you very much. And thank you to all of the watchers and listeners out there. We'll see you all again next Monday, same time, 8 o'clock. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye.